Week one is here, almost, kind of. Day one of week one is here. Wednesday of Tampa week is here. The big man's got a hell of a polo shirt on. Let's have a podcast. What up, everybody? It's JP Finley and Mitch Tischler. It is Beltway Football on Monumental Sports Network. This is not on TV. You can watch it on my YouTube. I don't know why I said that there. It made it sound like a TV pod. I don't want anybody getting up in arms. We do have some serious announcements here off the top. What up, big man?
I'm glad that you like my polo. Excited to break it out for your YouTube. We're going to have some fun clothes for other visual mediums coming up.
Yeah, I heard you got some updated stuff. Stacy was like, I don't know if you're going to be able to keep up with Mitch. I don't know if I am either. I just got a box delivered. So shout out to Monumental. Listen, the postgame pods, it's now official. Zach Leonsis tweeted about it. This thing is official. All right. The postgame pods are going to be live on the app. So for all these years, listen, we see the numbers. The postgame pods are by far the most listened to, I guess would be the right term in the old world. If you want, now you can watch them. It'll be me and Mitch after every game, road, home. It's going to be on camera. It's going to be streamed live on the Monumental app. All you need is an email to sign up. The barrier to entry on this is zero. It's harder to pump gas than it is to sign up for the Monumental app. Like, no, you know how annoying pumping gas is. Like, you gotta like declare your blood type and stuff. Like all these things. The postgame pods are going to be easy, and you can watch them at least anywhere in the United States. And
international.
Is it international?
It's international, baby.
Boom. So everybody in Ireland or Slovenia or Myanmar, wherever you may be, you can watch these joints. Des Moines, Iowa. Watch them live. If you post an Instagram story and tag us in it, we will share it. If you tweet us a picture of you watching it, we will retweet it. No problem. Trying to get the word out. We want you to be there. They're also going to be on the app for a couple of days, right? So if you don't watch it live, you can still watch it, right?
Right. So yeah, it'll air. It airs live probably an hour and a half or so after the game. Perfect second screen experience as you get ready to watch Sunday Night Football or whatever else you're doing. Make sure you tune in. It'll be on the app. It'll be on the app and monumentalsportsnetwork.com/beltway-football. It'll live there, so you can always go watch it. Now, the email address to watch it is just for the post-game pod. It doesn't count for any of the other videos and stuff that are on there, but you can tune in live or watch it an hour later or the next day or 3 days later. No matter when you watch it, like JP said, tweet us, Instagram us, smoke signal us, however you want to get it across the signal, get it across to us that you're watching. We'll repost it.
That's legal in most states. I don't know about international. Also, lest we ignore this, you can also just listen to it. Like, we love making the visuals available, but you can also just listen to it. Like you have been for years, and we appreciate that too. This is like, we're going to have, Mitch may or may not know this, or certainly doesn't claim any, but like when you have children, you don't have a favorite, right? Like I got two girls. I love them. They're very different. I don't love one more than the other. I just love them. And that's going to be a similar scenario with, like, if you watch the post game or you just listen to it, we still love it. More news. It's a very news heavy day. We do have Commanders news too. If you listen to us, you know how much we love MGM National Harbor. They're now a part of the podcast. They're going to be presenting sponsor for the postgame pods.
Yeah, presenting sponsor for all podcasts.
Boom. There you go. We still love our guys at Oarsman. We're all still in the boat together. Shout out to Oarsman Automotive of Virginia. But we are really excited for MGM National Harbor to get on board with this thing. We got to figure some dates out, but we're going to go have some events out at MGM National Harbor. I think it tapped, but maybe in the sports book, but one or the other. Come get some drinks with me and the big man. Really exciting stuff. We're fired up to have MGM on board with the pod. They love football. We love football. And, the guys over there are good buddies of ours, Bees and Pete and Chris, and everybody involved. So we're very excited about that. That is now show news. Yes, Mitch, casino talk.
Yeah, I was just going to say, MGM National Harbor is turning Tap Sports into a ultimate tailgate experience when the team is on the road on Sundays. They're asking for folks to show up. They're going to be Commanders Rally headquarters with food, giveaways, special visits from legends. They're going to have a ton of stuff happening. So not just here on the podcast, but also at at the actual casino at Tap Sports Bar. Be there. Command Force is going to be there. Drumline, a ton of stuff is going to be happening over there. It's going to be a cool scene.
There you go. And beyond all that, even without all that, where inside the Beltway, big man, can you go and potentially get rich? One place. There's one place. There's one place you hit that slot or just get red hot at a blackjack table like I've seen the big man do. And it's MGM National Harbor. All right. Now, actual Commanders news. We'll get to that now. Sam Cosmi got his contract extension. Throughout the offseason, if you remember, we talked about this, and I was like, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen closer to the season or even in season. Sure enough, week one, day one, Wednesday of week one, Cosmi's deal comes through, 4 years, 45 mil guaranteed, about 75 mil in total. The move inside the guard proved the right move with him. He played at a really high level last year. I don't know that there's a lot of conversation to be had on this. I'm really happy for Sam. We've gotten to know him since he was drafted, and he's just a great, funny dude. He's playing at a really good level. This is smart for the organization. This is what good organizations do. You pay a guy long before he becomes a free agent. And good news. This is good news. Nothing but good news to start the pot.
Yeah, I mean, all good news across here. I'm excited for Sam. I think he's been a really good player, obviously, for them. And I think he embodies everything that this coaching staff and front office want from their guys. And I think that it's fitting that he is Josh Harris's, Adam Peters' first kind of long-term contract extension that they've given out, because he's a guy who's busted his butt on the field and earns every bit of it and is everything that you want out of a football player. And he said it that he kind of felt like he was playing close to an all-pro level last year, and he's not entirely wrong there, and he'll be a big piece of this O-line going forward.
We're headed to Tampa Saturday morning. So I'm flying out Saturday afternoon. Here's what I was thinking, big man. Because it's a 4:30 start, we got a little bit of a leeway Saturday night. Remember we went to that bar, American Social, and we made Pete go for that. We're not going to tell that story. It was funny. I think Saturday night, if we want to tell people we'll be there, we're going to Burns, and that is a really hard. We're there late. I don't know what time we're going to get to American Social, but I plan on going to American Social Saturday night. A lot of people want to try to meet up, and
Right.
I'm putting it into the world. I know there are other things. I don't know if the team has a rally. I know Rally Captain has a rally in Clearwater. I'm not going to make it all the way to Clearwater. But I am going to go to American Social. Mitch, and your pink, purple, are those Paisleys?
I believe it's called Paisley.
That's a good look, dude. Will you make it to American Social?
I will be at American Social, and I will even commit to wearing my Paisley
Let's go.
golf shirt out.
Let's go.
Listen, folks have asked about the rallies, whether we're going to make it to them on the road or not. Particularly for this one, I'm not sure when JP's flight is, but both of us are Saturday afternoon flights, so it's not exactly easy for us to get over there. But like he said, we're going to hang out. We're going to be happy to have a couple drinks with you. JP's offering to buy everyone a beer.
I'm offering to buy a beer. The rallies are awesome and they're fun, and we try to go when we can, but there's a lot of logistical stuff involved. And it's like when the team sets them up, they got their own program, and then it's like, are we kind of a spare part here? Are we impeding? Like, it's just kind of over time, all that stuff will get figured out. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. So congrats to Cosmi. Jayden Daniels talked today in advance of week one, and we've been saying it from like, the kid is just so SoCal cool and calm. Dan Quinn called him a cool customer. I thought, like at a certain point, it's kind of dumb to keep asking him if he's ready and, if he's going to be rattled. Like, he doesn't know what facing Todd Bowles is going to be like, or what playing in, like, he just doesn't know. So, but the thing I loved was DQ said, I asked him like, hey, I feel like Ron would have 100% leaned into this, whether it was real or not.
I'm going to pull him aside and we'll have a one-on-one conversation.
Right. I asked DQ, I was like, hey, are you going to plan any like special time with Jayden before the start? He's like, no, nothing special or out of the ordinary. Like, I'll talk to him, but Dan Quinn's answer was so good because he's like, at this point, it's about the preparation, and that kid works so hard and puts the time in. Like, There's nothing between now and then. Now they're installing specific game plans, and maybe, tomorrow's going to be third downs and then some red zone work. Like you do want to be ready for a specific look from the defense on 3rd and 6, where you think you love Eckler going right or something, right? Like there is specific game planning, but to me, like, this is a test, and you can cram the night before and get a C, or you could be a good student and work hard throughout the semester and get an A. And you and I were on one track, but I think Jayden is on the A track. Like
Yeah.
we know about how early he's getting in there, all the stuff. And I just think nobody's nervous, right? Now there's different, like, the game starts, butterflies in your stomach, all that. But like, he's like, man, today's Wednesday. I got it Thursday and Friday of practice. And then maybe I think about Sunday. But like, I just think they're all in a really good headspace.
Yeah, I think, you talk about Dan Quinn did these steps along during training camp in the preseason where he wanted Jayden to hit these different, milestones. And I just think he's built Jayden up the correct way, or at least a consistent way, where he has him at a point that he is, comfortable with him, and clearly excited to see what Jayden's going to do on the field. It wasn't particular to Jayden, but one thing that DQ talked about today was, as you get ready for the first week, it's about, knowing your guys and not overloading them on any one particular thing. And he made a joke about, like, the defensive tackles. He's like, I'm not going to ask them to, tell me what's happening in the secondary. I just want them to get after the damn quarterback. But I think it extends to everybody on the roster, and in particular Jayden, where, they've had this plan all along, and they've stuck to it and haven't been rattled by folks screaming about first team reps or playing time in the preseason or whatever different things that, that people have been frustrated with or whatever about Jayden's development. And I think the fact that they've been consistent with it, it's just going to continue on through the year. And, facing a Todd Bowles defense is a tough challenge, because they bring a lot of blitzes. They bring a lot of blitzes from different formations. They love the, amorphous blob defense, where kind of folks all stand up and you don't really know who's coming and who's not. And to me, I kind of like that they get this defense early in the year, because there's no book out on Jayden. There's no book out on this Commanders offense. And I think what Bowles does particularly well is find weaknesses and pick at it and go after it, with the kind of the crazy blitzing and whatnot. And so I think Jayden's gonna have a real opportunity on Sunday to put some good stuff on tape and surprise a team that doesn't necessarily know what's coming to Tampa.
Well, dude, we asked Allegretti about that in the locker room, and something like, how much have we seen? And he's like, man, it's preseason. You try not to show much, but we're going to go fast. Like, I think people are going to be, especially on a national level where people probably haven't paid that much attention. I think people are going to be surprised by the amount of up tempo, maybe not full no huddle, but definitely up tempo. I think you're going to see a lot of it. I don't know how it's going to go in Tampa, because Tampa's good. Yo, we had a Tampa dude on the radio, and shout out to, I think it was JC Allen. And we are asking about that defense. I was like, how's Vita Vea looking? He's like, oh, he's really good. He's slimmed down this season to try to get a little quicker. Do you know what he has slimmed down to?
He was what, 350 last year? So he slimmed down to, let's see, if Emmanuel Forbes can gain 17 pounds in an offseason, I think Vita Vea can lose 17. So I'll say 333.
He has slimmed down to 320. That's a unit.
I mean, and the way that they use that guy on the defensive line is semi-similar to Jonathan Allen, where they kind of move him around a little bit and want to get him in positions. But when they do that, everyone stands up thing, and guys are kind of motioning around on the defense, not exactly set at the snap. You get that dude coming at you with a full head of steam. That's a lot of man coming at you.
Let's hope that Vita's not getting any licks on Jayden. That's a big man versus a slighter man. This is DQ specifically on Jayden. I just love this. I think for those of you who've been around Jayden some, this is a cool customer, and you're always looking to see the next marker. And that's why we're so intentional about what we did during training camp to hit all the marks along the way, and no different than this. This is another step for him to go, but early in, ready to go today, already calls, already knows the stuff to go. Having that confidence to play well oftentimes comes from the preparation. You can't wait for this game because you put the work in to go, and Jayden falls under that category. I think he's telling the truth. Like next week, they'll start lying to us, and they've told us some lies already. But that answer, I think he's telling the truth.
I agree with you. I guess we'll get to some of the lies here in a little bit. What I loved from Jayden was just, everyone was trying to get a bite from him. Like, man, I'm super excited. This thing is going to be awesome. Like, it's everything I've dreamed of. Like, whatever bites that you get from kids who are playing their first games, and he was just so, he's like, I'll be got to get through today, got to get through tomorrow, got to get through Friday. And by the way, at the end of this pod, we're going to have Jayden Daniels full availability. Sam Cosmi also met with us after he signed his extension. That'll be on the back end of it. So a lot of good sound to get to at the end of this pod.
Yep, I'm with you there. I had kind of Coleman and Newton as the next things to discuss, barring something you wanted to discuss.
No, I wanted to talk Brandon Coleman, so this is a good spot.
All right, fire away.
I talked to him in the locker room today. Looks good, sounds good, seems excited about getting out there and playing. I got to be honest, this depth chart that they put out, I think might have a couple question marks on it with Luke McCaffrey stepping in as one of your starting wide receivers. I think there's some games being played between.
That's just depth chart stuff, though, don't you?
What I'm getting at is I'm not sure that Cornelius Lucas isn't going to be the starter on Sunday. I know that Dan Quinn has talked about the fact that he wanted to see him in preseason, but would still be comfortable with him. You asked Dan Quinn about that today. He kind of doubled down on it. We liked what we've seen all along. Maybe I'm reading too much into the little bit of practice that we get to watch. The very first reps in individual drills, Cornelius Lucas got the first reps at left tackle with Brandon Coleman kind of holding the bag for him. Obviously, they then switched. When we talked to Nick Allegretti in the locker room, I kind of asked him about, hey, you haven't got a ton of time with Brandon because, he's been injured. How has that come along? Are you feeling comfortable with him? And he gave a really glowing review of Brandon Coleman in training camp. But he was very intentional in saying, I'm not really sure who the starter is going to be out there, whether it's going to be Brandon or Cornelius, but we're confident either way. And to me, I just think that I'm not saying that I am reporting that Cornelius Lucas is going to be the starter. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be surprised if first snap of the game, Big Lucas went out there at left tackle.
I don't agree. That maybe you're proven correct. I have the DQ bite. I asked him because Dan Quinn a couple of weeks ago says he doesn't need to see Coleman, but he wants to see Coleman. And I asked him that, all right, you didn't get to, are you okay with it? And he said, I do. And it's an example of how you can only control the things that you can. And so would it have been better? Yes. But okay, that's not how it went down. This player's really put in the work and he's really ready to go. So yeah, we're excited to get him into it. Would it have been better for him and anybody else? Of course. But like I said, you can only control what you can, but the player is really putting the work in and is ready to go. And then I talked to Coleman when you did. I don't get that vibe at all. And the only kind of as firm as it is, as it may or may not be, they put out an injury report today. Coleman's on there as a full participant. And if something comes up shady, they get fined for that. You know what I mean? I think it's Coleman all the way. Now Johnny Newton was the other note I have here. I think that's very different, but
I think that's very different.
I'm not with you on I think you're in your bag a little on this one.
I don't think Brandon Coleman is in it. I don't think it's an injury thing that the reason that he wouldn't play. I don't know. We'll see. But those two things happening, both the part that we saw at practice and then kind of Nick talking about in the locker room just made me kind of take a second to pause and be like, well, it is the first game of the season, and Brandon Coleman and Cornelius Lucas are two very different left tackles for a defense to prepare for. I wonder if maybe there's a little bit of, gameplay happening there, but we'll see come Sunday, and hopefully we'll get a better idea, over the next couple of days of kind of where everything stands. But
I feel like that would be an elaborate play for week one in the NFL. I don't see it. But I mean, the Luke McCaffrey, De'Ami Brown depth chart thing was weird. I don't know. You know who was not, I don't want to say not thrilled, but definitely surprised. Like last year in the locker room, there weren't a whole lot of media scrums around De'Ami Brown's locker. And today there was, and you could tell he's like, oh, like it was
I will say it was our first time in the locker room. Same locker. They haven't done much work in the locker room, new floors and stuff like that, which looks cool. But what I did like was the players are all mixed up around the locker
I
room.
wanted to talk about that.
On the left side used to be the offense, essentially, and the right side was the defense, and the quarterbacks had their corner, the O-line had theirs. Like now you got guys all mixed up, kind of all over the place. And for Dan Quinn, who values this team building so much, I think it's a game that I think that's what he's trying to get at with this setup in there.
So I had heard that, and then I was definitely surprised by the extent of it today, if that makes sense. Like the fact that Jayden Daniels doesn't have two lockers and is just in the middle of like Luke McCaffrey and a DB to his right, I think. Like,
so his left is Frankie Louvu, and to his right is
yeah.
Percy.
Yeah, like it that I found odd. Like Bobby Wagner got a corner, so he gets some space. I'm glad Tress and Terry kept their spots, which are good locker spots. And those guys are vets that have been here a long time. Like they deserve that. The old linemen have like their area kind of, but it was Dan Quinn has said intentional throughout. We had heard that this was occurring, but it was like, I thought it was kind of coach speak, like, yeah, we're mixing them all up. But I kind of thought they were like having like a guy they knew wasn't going to make the team in between a couple vets. And then by the time training camp ends, there's an extra spot. Like it was interesting. In some ways, I feel like it makes sense to put the LBs together so they can talk about practice and talk about film and all that. And like put the DBs and generally it's always just been by position group. And you typically see that even in post-game locker rooms around the league. They're trying something different, or maybe this is how DQ runs it. It's definitely different from what we've seen in a long time in Ashburn.
Well, and think about it. I mean, some of the veteran players and kind of big time players would have two lockers. And then they had this kind of
Trent kind of had three. Trent had like three in the corner.
But then they also had the locker island where all the practice squad players had these like temporary lockers that were set up sort of in the middle of the room. And now, I mean, it speaks to what Dan Quinn speaks about all the time, but like there are no double lockers. Nobody's in a temporary locker. Everyone's got their own space, their own spot, and guys are spread out all over the place. And it maybe is a little bit difficult on us to try and remember / figure out where everybody is now. But I think it's an interesting little tweak.
It's going to be fascinating if the quarterback is in the middle of that room, because like the quarterbacks have always been secluded and they're very rarely in there because like they do their media at the podium and they have meetings and everything. Like quarterbacks just aren't around like the rest of the team. But like we're going to have to talk to Frankie Louvu and Percy Butler and Luke, and there's going to be like media scrums around Jayden's locker, which is just very, very different. It's not, I'm not saying good or bad, just different.
Let's get to Johnny Newton though. You kept bringing him up and we haven't gotten to it yet.
I had Coleman Newton locker room to discuss. So
all right. I jumped the gun a little bit.
Sorry. You jumped 0 guns. So do you want me to read the bite from DQ on it? You want to just give your opinion? What do you want to do with old Johnny? I don't think Johnny Newton's playing. And I didn't.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to say. I think we're both kind of on board there. They're not going to go into the game without making a roster move because you can't go into this game with
3 DTs.
Yeah, Badarian Mathis, Deron Payne, and John Allen in there.
They're going to call up the guy Sheldon Day.
Sheldon Day. I agree. They signed him on Thursday or Friday of last week, and I think it was a very intentional signing. Here's a guy who's played in the NFL a little bit. We know that he can step up and take some take up some snaps from these guys. But I think that Duran and John and Big Phil are going to be asked to do a lot on Sunday, because those are your three, main guys there, and hopefully Sheldon Day's able to step in and help out a little bit. If they were concerned about Johnny Newton being a long-term thing, they would have put him on IR, right? Jordan McGee was on IR, so he's out for the first 4 games.
Yeah, they're short term.
Right. They could do the same with Johnny Newton. So to me, I think it's, a week or 2 week thing. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense that he
Didn't
was
go on IR.
that he didn't go on IR. So certainly I want to see him out there because I think he'll be a big help, but I don't think we're gonna see him Sunday.
Yeah, I'll read the bite. DQ on Johnny Newton playing this weekend. Yeah, we're going to work. He'll go work today, and then we will go limited tomorrow and then work again Friday. And then I'll have a better assessment for you when we get together Friday afternoon. But it'll be good to get him back into the stuff. He's raring to go. But like most things said, we're not going to miss a step for him. So I'm going to take it all the way through the week and see where he is at. The fact that he was limited on the injury report today, he already knows he's going to be limited on Thursday. And the fact that DQ does his presser Friday after practice means that's when he can say he's out. Sheldon Day is on the roster. I think there's a couple factors here. I guess I shouldn't put my hand in front of my face. The increased flexibility of the practice squad stuff, being able, like knowing last week when you sign Sheldon Day that you can bring him up Saturday night of week 1. It's almost like he's on the team. And these are way more technicality, formality things than they are like something to worry about, right? So that's one. 2, I think the fact that it's John Allen and Deron Payne ahead of him, those guys didn't play all preseason. Like, they might get a whole bunch of snap counts. It's going to be hot and humid. It's Tampa. I get that. But those dudes both have made Pro Bowls. Both are paid handsomely. Like, okay, we got to lean on our horses, but that was not, if you're DQ, you're like, hell yeah, those are my horses anyway. You know what I mean? Because I don't think 3, I think if this was a undrafted guy or one of the dozens, maybe not dozens, one of the many 1-year veteran deals they brought in this year, kind of these veteran band-aids they brought in to try to patch up this roster. Like, I wonder if you're not like, all right, if you can go, if you're 85, 90%, let's go. This is a 2nd-round pick, a guy they clearly really like, a guy that's had 2 surgeries in the last year, or procedures we can call them, but like he's had 2 procedures and then a soft tissue. I think they're definitely going to go slow. And I think it's just for, like, if the kid could play, they'd play him. I don't want to be too dismissive of that, but like, this is a rebuild long term. They're thinking long term. I don't hate it, but like, where we at on the alarm scale, dude? Like, this
Yeah.
is pick. He ain't gonna play. I don't think he's gonna play week 1. Like, it's not like we keep kind of dismissing it, but this is not good news.
Oh, it's definitely not good news. The alarm scale thing, I go back to, if it was a real alarm scale, they would have put him on IR to start. If they really thought he was going to miss 4 games, that's really the only thing that would make sense. To me, I think almost like we talked about Jayden, where, they had steps and they're intentional about what they wanted to see him do before he got, before they named him the starter, before he got out there, all these different things. I think in the same note, you have to look at the Johnny Newton thing with it, because you don't want him to go out there when he's not 100% yet, or not ready to play yet, whether he's 100% or not, whatever. You don't want him to go out there when he's not ready to play and turn what's we're being told is a lingering soft tissue injury into a Liz Frank or something major that, is a season-ending surgery. And I appreciate you delineating surgery versus procedure. To me, that sounds like installation versus statue, but I don't want to that can of worms. But the point being, the fact they didn't put him on IR makes me think that he's got to be ready to play, if not Sunday, which I don't think, but maybe the next week against the Giants, or at very worst, Monday night against Cincy.
Well, and I mean, I think this is perhaps overblown, but they do have, if you did put him on the IR, you don't get him the first 4, and you do have Monday night and then short week to Arizona. You know what I mean? Like maybe that was part of the calculus. Like, hey, we're almost positive we get him for week 4 and it's going to be a short week. I don't
Right.
know. It's also to me fairly telling. I don't know that we saw Newton. I don't think we've talked to Newton. Like he's not on the pup or the IR. Like if he's in there, we can talk to him.
He walked through today. He walked through today, but literally walked to locker and then walked back out.
Right. Like we could try to grab him tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like the way they're handling Newton versus the way they are handling Coleman this week is also fairly telling of where those guys are.
Yeah.
You want to go alarm bells? Where were we? Like 6 and 7? I think you
I
got
think
it.
we're 6 and 7. Honestly, I'm
9,
still
10.
no. Yeah, I'm right there at 6 or 7. Like
It doesn't go up though. That this is the second round pick that neither of us think is going to play week 1 and maybe longer. I get that it's a 17 game season. I understand the totality of it.
it's a war of attrition, and maybe fine. Maybe it goes up a point. Maybe it goes to 8. I guess because he is going to miss a game. But like, if there was real concern about his ability to play, he wouldn't be on this 53-man roster. He'd be on the short term IR. And if it turns out that we get to week 4 and he's not playing, those alarm bells go through the roof. I mean, to me, I'm willing to accept a week or 2 of it. And if it goes beyond that, then I think you have to start asking serious questions and it starts becoming a real story. And particularly because the only other D tackles I have on this roster, practice squad or not, is Sheldon Day and Carlos Watkins. So there's not a ton of other options for them to really play with without him.
Yeah,
And if they
dude.
were
You traded Ridgeway.
right,
You've got Mathis, who has not done much in 2 seasons. You like you know what you need to be right about Mathis and right about trading Ridgeway. And I get this is a different kind of defensive front. I understand that, but still, you're thin. You're thin, and I don't know that we want to get to the edges. Did you read this thing in the Ringer? They did their first rankings of the year, power rankings, and they had the Skins dead last. And some of some of these are facts. Do you know what we assume? I think it's gonna be Farrell and Armstrong kind of start on the edges for you.
yeah.
Do you know what that combined sack total was last year?
Well, Dorrance had 8, so 11 and a half,
11.
11. To the other side of it, Pro Football Talk just put out their playoff predictions, and they have the Commanders in the 6th spot in the NFC,
All right.
playing the Bucks in Week 1 again, or in the playoff in the first round of the playoffs.
Now that is a time of year I would love to go to Tampa. I a lot of it's Jayden. If Jayden hits and he's the dude, then yeah, let's go to Tampa in mid-January. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. I'm about done unless you have something. Survivor pool. We've always done it. Should we do the survivor pool? To be honest, Pete kind of took care of it. We think we're going to start getting some more help here, just to help us keep track of stuff because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of momentum. Momentum is and has always been real. How about a pin in the survivor pool?
By the time our Thursday pod or Friday pod comes out, we will have an answer for whether we're running a survivor pool. And I'm gonna say
2 survivor pool. Can you start in week 2?
I think it's on JP to set up the survivor pool, and that way you guys can all yell at JP if we don't do one.
I think it might be on, I don't want to say his name, but mystery producer X that we think we're going to get to start helping us might be on him. So congratulations. You just got another duty, probably for which you are not going to be financially compensated for. I think we should do it. All right. If you want the survivor pool, tweet me survivor pool.
Yeah. Keyword survivor.
Tweet me and Mitch.
And listen, starting this week on our end of week pods, we're going to have 100 chips. We're going to have over-unders. We're going to have all the stuff that you guys, some of the JP hates, but I know you guys all love it. I love it.
What I hated was the Benjamin bet. Are we doing that?
I think we're going to shoehorn that in. Yeah.
We also got some, perhaps advice. I don't know. Some dude was like, yo, it's only 2 of you now for over-unders. You're probably going to have more ties. So I don't know what we do about that. Maybe we get a guest over under, but that'll be hard because it's a TV show, right?
Yeah, I think we pick a tiebreaker each week. Jayden passing yards. We do that for over under. So we'll pick something that's a tiebreaker. Total number of first downs that the Commanders get. We'll both put in our. We'll pick one side or the other, and that'll be the tiebreaker.
Okay. Maybe just whoever's closest to the Benji bet, but okay.
Benji
Okay.
bet also is a good one. Yeah.
Jayden and
For the,
Cosmi.
yeah, for the record, I'm confident that week 1 I'm going to hit the Benji bet.
Wow.
So I hope you're right.
I love your confidence, big man. I believe I won over unders last year.
I think you won over unders, but I think I won 100 chips. I'm confident. I'm confident in that. Anyways, all that stuff is coming up later in the week. Right now, let's go to Jayden and Sam.